From the heart of the Space City to the heart of Gen Z, welcome to Next Gen Conversation. Not Dad's Talk Radio. Ethan talks to you about the issues and events that matter to our generation. This is the Next Gen Report with Ethan Buchanan.
Hey, everybody. Check out my new sign. If you're watching on the YouTube video, what do you think of that? Hey, like them apples. Where is it? There. I don't know. I like it. I think it's good. I think it adds some much needed extra light into this little space that I've carved out here. But hey, welcome to the Next Gen Report. I am Ethan Buchanan. We have got a lot to get to today, but I want to start with talking a little bit more about the second No Kings protest that we had over the weekend. So you remember we had the first one, right? We had the first big No Kings rally. It was, such a big deal. We made, such a big deal out of it. But at the end of the day, what actually happened? Roughly 5% of Kamala Harris's total voting base actually showed up. I did the math, actually. That was the number for the first No Kings. This one was quite a bit more small, I guess. It probably in total was about the same amount of total protesters. But what they did was, rather than having everybody gather and run centralized place, like last time, they had everybody come to City Hall here in Houston, and you had these huge crowds. This time, what they did was they had a bunch of people at City Hall in Houston, and then they sent some folks to Conroe and some folks to Katy and da-da-da-da-da. So that way they can say, oh, we had protests in these red, smaller towns, right? Like, yeah, you got 50 people from Houston to show up on the side of a highway in Katy. Congratulations, here's your gold star. But, I think it'll be a lot less effective because of that, because the visuals, I mean, a crowd of 50 people is way less impressive than seeing the, 5,000 or 6,000 that they had the last time marching down Main Street of Houston. Weird strategic move. I don't know. It's their choice. I don't care. That being said, I did see some video from the second No Kings that was interesting. We talked about it a little bit on the Sunday show. I want to talk about another video that I saw here. And I think this is really telling of the left. Here's the kind of primary strategy of the left broadly. They used weaponized empathy to cudgel you into voting for them. Now, the way that works is you have a bunch of foot soldiers on the ground that are trying to cudgel you with empathy, and they think because they're cudgeling you with empathy, they're good people, but they don't realize that what they're doing is cudgeling you, right? Does that make sense? Are you following me? I'll give you a practical example. Here's this lady being interviewed by the Daily Signal. I don't know who this lady is actually doing the interview on behalf of the Daily Signal, but this interview is, I think, very, very telling. Take a listen to this. There it is. All right, take a listen here.
Assassinated.
They is a piece of garbage. Of course they were mean. I am so tired of people saying, oh, but, it's a terrible thing. No, Hitler is dead. I'm glad Hitler's dead.
Something that I've heard in interviewing Republicans is that they're concerned with the health care going to undocumented immigrants. What would you say about that?
I don't know that it's true.
All right, let me stop you right there. It is true. Keep going.
Everybody deserves health care, and we can certainly afford it.
Let me stop you again. No, we can't. No, we can't. We simply cannot. We can't even afford to give health care to the American citizens who are supposed to have it under Medicare. That's how screwed up we are financially. But she doesn't know that. She's collecting her Social Security check and her Medicare check because, like I pointed out on the Sunday show, she's one of the millions of old people that's currently staffing the rank and file of the Democrat Party right now. But we're coming up very fast on $40 trillion in debt. We can't afford health care for American citizens, let alone illegal aliens. I mean, that's not even in the question. Whether or not we can afford it for American citizens, that's what's in the question. But illegal aliens? No, we can't. All right, continue.
In this country. So again, they're just, they're pointing to things and saying it's our fault, we're too liberal. Yeah, it's really depressing. I don't know how anybody your age even thinks of having children, okay?
Oh, you
okay,
poor dear.
Millions of Democrats did not vote. Whose fault is that?
That's your own fault, first of all. And second of all, I don't think it happened. There's this theory on the left that the reason Donald Trump won is because millions of Democrats who voted for Biden in 2020 didn't show up for Kamala Harris in 2024. And listen, that might be true. It might be. I don't know. But I think the more likely scenario is 2020 was actually gamed. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm sorry. But I have a hard time believing the millions of people who are desperate to get rid of Trump and make sure he didn't get a second term 4 years after Biden decided, Trump having a second term is fine, probably. I mean, it could have happened. It could have. But it's questionable to me. Let's say that.
We need to get ourselves together, and we might even need to be a little bit meaner, because the Republicans don't mind being mean.
And by mean, what do you mean? Do you mean protesting? Do you mean...
Maybe we have to, I don't know, stop being so nice.
Yes. That's the problem of the left. The Democrats are too nice. Leftists are they're just so polite. They just keep getting walked over by the fascist Republicans. Just because they're so nice. That's their problem. That's the problem of the Republicans. Alternatively, roughly 350 complaints have been filed against Texas teachers for alleged comments on the killing of Charlie Kirk. These are teachers here in Texas, 350 of them, that are openly mocking or even celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. They're not right-wingers, I'll tell you that. But the problem on the left is they're just too nice. Really? Really? Maybe, just maybe, the problem on the left is you guys have gone so much farther to the left than the average actual American is comfortable going. And because of that, they're not showing up to vote for you. Maybe that's the case. Maybe instead of getting meaner because you're just too nice, maybe you should just get a little bit more to the center, because that's where most Americans are. Maybe you should just say, hey, we probably don't need men in women's bathrooms. We probably don't need men playing against women in sports. We probably don't need 11 to 20 million illegal aliens invading the country. Maybe if you just say those things and be a little bit more reasonable, people will actually vote for you and support you. Maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know. I'm no political analyst, but I am a political analyst, so that might be the case. All right, listen, we got a great show coming up. I'm excited for this this beautiful Wednesday that we've got going on right now. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Next Gen Report in just a second. All right, let's talk about what has seemed to be the only news story in the city of Houston for several days. The Montrose Gay Crosswalk. Let me preface this conversation with, I don't have anything against any individual homosexual person. There it is, all right? Please don't cancel me or fuss at me. I've already gotten complaints. People have called into the station to fuss at me for being transphobic. I'm not scared of trans people. I just don't think they should be in the women's restroom unless they're biological women. But on the issue of the homosexuals, my position, I believe, is the biblical one. You shouldn't do it. The Bible says to not to. It doesn't mean I'm better than you. It doesn't mean I hate you. I have my own sins. Everybody does. We all have different things that we deal with. We're called to be Christ-like. Repent of our sins, not live in them. All right? That's my message to the homosexuals. That's my message to everyone, because everyone is a sinful person. I believe that. I believe the Bible says that. So, here's what else I believe. We probably shouldn't plaster pro-gay crap all over our city. If you want to be gay, I'm not going to try to stop you. I'm going to tell you to repent. I'm going to tell you you shouldn't. But I'm also not going to kick in your door and say, hey, stop being gay. But at the same time, I'd appreciate it if you didn't vomit your rainbow gayness all over my crosswalks. All right? This is a city. People live here. Just because you're gay doesn't mean it has to be the defining factor of the Montrose neighborhood where I happen to live. Do you have any idea how difficult it is for me as a person to say, hi, my name's Ethan. I live in the Montrose area. And people go, oh, you're gay. No, this is my wife. She's a woman. But that's the reputation that Montrose has, and now I have to live with it because I chose to live here. It's a problem, y'all, all right? It's not necessary. This neighborhood is gay enough without gay crosswalks everywhere. So this is where the controversy comes from. So Greg Abbott had, in accordance with another order issued by Donald Trump, said, hey, all the political messaging that we've been spray painting over the roads for the last 15 years, all the gay crosswalks, all that stuff, it's not necessary. There's an argument to be made that it poses a safety risk because you got a big rainbow painted on the road that's distracting to drivers. It is. It might not be super distracting. It might not be a major risk. We may not even have had an incident yet. But it is distracting. Roads are for driving. Painting on roads should be to communicate how to drive without distracting the driver. We don't need a rainbow on the crosswalk. We just don't need it. I don't care how special it makes you feel. This is a crosswalk. This is a public crosswalk on a public road. You don't need a rainbow on it. You just don't. So, with all that in mind, President Trump and Greg Abbott have been working to remove things like that from our roadways. Good. Metro ordered the crosswalks removal earlier this month after Governor Greg Abbott threatened to withhold road funding from any city or county with, quote, social, political, or ideological messages on the streets. This standoff came hours after more than 200 people went to the intersection for a spirited Sunday protest challenging the plan. So here's what it looks like now. They've officially gotten rid of the rainbow flag that was painted across it. Here's what it looked like before. You can see it. Very, very rainbowy. If you're listening, you can't see it. Sorry. Go watch the YouTube video. The Next Gen Report on YouTube or Ethan Buchanan. Search either one. It'll pop up. And you can see the gay crosswalk. There it is. Big gay crosswalk. Wonderful. Is it necessary? No. Get rid of it. Because that's what the road should be. What's necessary? If it's not necessary, get it off the road. Because all it's doing is distracting drivers. And you can make the argument, oh, it's not that big of a distraction. Probably not. But do we want to take the risk? My answer is no. This isn't a risk we need to take. Montrose is gay enough already, and that's fine. I've made my peace with that. Montrose is the gay neighborhood in Houston. Fair enough. You can have all the gay clubs and all the pride flags hanging from all the private buildings that you want. This is a public street. It's a public street. It belongs to everybody. It's for use by everybody. You don't need to slap your gay label on it. You just don't. What about this? What requires you to have this? This is my argument with pride parades. The whole argument from the kind of LGBT pride folks for so long was, we just want to do what we want in the privacy of our bedroom. And I'm a libertarian guy. I don't have to agree with it, but fair enough. Fair enough. It's your home. It's your life. If you want to, live in sin your entire life, that's fine. That's between you and the Lord. Go for it. Knock yourself out. I'll pray for you. I will. I hope you stop, but I'm not going to try to stop you. Not with the government gun. No. But we went from that to now everybody has to accept this equally. It's not just in your home anymore. Now it's on the crosswalk. And it extends out from there. We've seen this. It goes into the public schools. Now you have to let us teach your kid about gay sex and about being transgender. And you have to let us paint pride flags all over the public roads. The answer is no. Stop it. You pushed too far. We're taking your gay crosswalk. This is what you get. A normal black crosswalk. Anyway, so the Montrose gays got very upset about this. They're livid. They are livid. So here is Gage Goulding with KPRC2. He got some footage and posted it of some of the protests. So let's take a listen to this. This is early. This is like 2 a.m. Monday morning when the crews and HPD actually showed up to paint over and pave over the crosswalk. Here is what HPD had to deal with. You see them making an arrest from somebody that had just planted themselves on the crosswalk.
We know that we are the most diverse city in the country. We have everybody in this city, in this community, including our queer and trans siblings, and we all belong here, and that's what this represents.
Okay,
been here.
nobody's saying, oh, you don't belong here. Again, the narrative has been, if you take away this crosswalk, all of the sudden Montrose won't be gay friendly anymore. Really? Really? Montrose. If you live in Houston, you know what I'm talking about. This is a gay part of town. It just is. There's a gay club every 35 feet and there's a pride flag every 15. This is what made Montrose welcoming to the gays? That one crosswalk. Not the 15 gay clubs. Like, can we please at least be honest in our discourse? That's all I'm really asking here. Let's at least have honest discourse. Our gay and trans siblings won't feel welcome. Shut up. Yes, they will. You're so full of crap and you know it. My apologies if you can hear some profanities. That's covered by the FCC. It's background noise. I can't do anything about it.
It kind of sucks that they're attacking this crosswalk and this pathway. You know, this has been here before I moved here, and it's been here about 7 to 8 years now.
It's been here before I moved here. It's been here 7 or 8 years now. All right. And seriously, who cares? Who cares? I for sure do not. Get rid of it. We don't need it. I guarantee you, your life will not change at all. Dear Montrose gays, the world will spinneth onward. I pinky promise. Your life in Montrose isn't going to change at all. It won't. You don't need the gay crosswalk to live here. You don't. You know how I know this? Here, I'll prove it to you. I'm a heterosexual man. I live in Montrose. Do you know how many heterosexual pride flags are painted on Montrose crosswalks? I'll give you a hint, there's 0. And by the way, there is a heterosexual pride flag. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't until recently, but there is one. You know how many times I've gone and demanded the heterosexual pride flag be painted across public roadways? 0. 0 times. Why? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You wanted your own privacy. You wanted it in your bedroom. You got it. You do not need to blast it all over the public roads. Just like I don't need to blast my sexuality all over the public roads. I'm fine living in Montrose without everybody saying, oh my God, here's your pat on the back for being straight. You will survive. I guarantee it. All right, we got another segment coming up. We're going to talk about this shutdown. We'll be right back. All right, I believe we've set a record. And the record being longest government shutdown in U.S. history. 3 weeks as of yesterday. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Well done, everyone. Record setters. That is who we are. Hell yeah. So, here's my thoughts on this. As a general rule, I think the federal government should be as irrelevant as possible. That's my position. I'm a kind of states' rights libertarian. Shut the feds down as much as possible, have them do only the bare minimum, and then everything else, kick it to the states. The states have governments for a reason. They can run their own shows. I think that makes sense, right? That's what the founders said. That's why in the Constitution they say, hey, everything we don't cover in the Constitution, just toss it to the states. I like that. I think that makes sense. That gives you, the people, more control. It's way easier to change things on a state level than it is on a federal level. So the less the federal government is doing, the more the states can do, and everybody's happy. If you don't like what your state is doing, you can vote and change it, or you can move to another state that's doing something different. And in a perfect world, the federal government should be almost meaningless to you. Except maybe in wartime, then the federal government becomes a lot more important, then we let them weigh in more. But as a general rule, they really should be completely irrelevant. A federal government shutdown, if things are running as they should be, shouldn't affect your life at all. I think that's kind of how the founders set the system up. Now, unfortunately, because we've strayed so far from the founders' vision, a 3-week federal shutdown actually matters, unfortunately. Now we have people who aren't getting paid that should be, obviously, our military and federal law enforcement. That is an important role of the federal government. We should have those positions. We should pay those people, and we should tax the American citizen only the bare minimum necessary to do that. There, I said it. That's my governing philosophy. So this government shutdown is kind of a mixed bag for me. I like it because I think more people are going to start to realize, hey, actually, the federal government isn't the messiah that we have deemed it to be in modern American society. But also, we do kind of need to open the government back up eventually. Sooner rather than later, the harsh truth, even for a libertarian like me that very doesn't like the federal government, we do still need it, and it needs to open up eventually. So we're in 3 weeks of this government shutdown now. Senate Republicans projected a unified front at the White House Rose Garden Tuesday, arriving at President Donald Trump's invitation as they refused to yield to Democratic demands for health care funds into the 4th week of the government shutdown. While hosting, Trump praised GOP leadership, singling out senators by name, trashed former President Joe Biden, and previewed his own upcoming foreign travel and tariff policies. We're a wealthy nation again, he said. The country, meanwhile, is feeling the financial hit of the shutdown, which is on track to become among the longest in U.S. history. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers are going without pay. Head Start programs for preschoolers nationwide are scrambling for funds, and economists warn of curbed economic growth. I don't know if I believe that. I don't think I've ever seen an instance where more government has helped the economy grow. I could be wrong. I may be mistaken, but this is what I've gleaned from spending a lot of time talking with economist Dr. Vance Ginn. He has very much helped make it clear to me that as a general rule, the less government you have involved in the economy, the better the economy will be. I think the prime example of that is the fact that since we created the Federal Reserve, the US dollar has lost something along the lines of like 80% of its value. So, be that as it may. But I want you to analyze how the AP actually phrases this. They talk about how unified and happy the Republicans are, and then they say, meanwhile, the country's suffering. So without saying it, they kind of make it seem like, oh, the Republicans are doing this and they're happy about it. The answer is no, actually, that's not the case. As we've discussed multiple times on the show, this is a function of Democrat maneuvering. Democrats have enough people in the Senate to kill any bill they want because it has to overcome the filibuster. You need 60 votes. The GOP does not have what we call a filibuster-proof supermajority. That would be when one party has 60 plus votes. They can pass whatever they want. They can completely sideline the other party because they have a supermajority. The GOP does not have that right now. We need the government, or we need the Democrats to sign on to fund the government. And they won't do it. They won't do it. Here's Donald Trump calling this out. He's saying that they're not negotiating. They're just saying we're going to shut down the government. We had tried to extend the funding so that we could negotiate without the government being shut down. The Democrats said, no, we want to shut down the government. We'll get what we want and then negotiate for even more. The answer to that, it has been from the Republicans, no, and I think it should remain that. Here's Donald Trump saying, these people aren't trying to negotiate in good faith. They're just trying to demand they get what they want.
Just to be clear, you won't meet with them until the government's open.
The government has to be open, yeah. The government has to be open. You know how long it would take for them to do that? Just say, okay, government's open, that's it. There is nothing.
How long
They're
do you
not
think this could
negotiating.
go?
What they're doing is saying they lost the negotiation, and when we got the great big beautiful deal done, they lost that negotiation. Now they're saying, well, we want to get some of the things we lost. But the problem is the things they lost are very bad for our country. We don't want to have people come over from all over the world, from prisons and all, and have them have their health care paid for. We want to take care of people that are American citizens and all. So they want $1.5 trillion of money to be wasted and jeopardize the health care of other people. We're not going to do that. So I would love to meet with them. We want the country open first.
This is like the political equivalent of you're losing at checkers, so you smash the board and throw it off the table. That's what they did here. They lost the negotiations, like Trump pointed out, over the big, beautiful bill. We got more of what we wanted than what they got. And so we passed what we basically have the funding set up how we want it, right? They lost that negotiation. Now they're trying to force us to then give a bunch of stuff back to them with a government shutdown. Like Trump points out, the answer there is no. That's not how you play the game. If you want to negotiate, fine, we can negotiate. First, open up the government, and then we'll negotiate on the long-term permanent funding. They don't want to do that. Again, here is Majority Leader John Thune saying, hey, we're ready to negotiate, but we want to open up the government first. We need to be paying our military and our federal law enforcement and the FAA before we negotiate with you.
Had a great opportunity to meet with the president and talk about something that unifies all Republicans. Senate Republicans, House Republicans, and the President of the United States are all in favor of reopening the federal government. In fact, so much so that we've now all voted 11 times to reopen the federal government. But the longer the federal government stays closed, the more the impacts are being felt. Travel delays, benefit delays, farmers are being impacted, millions of people going without paychecks. That's what this government shutdown, Democrat government shutdown, is bringing to the American people. So we're hopeful that this will be the week when we break out of this and the Democrats come to their senses and decide to open up the government. We're going to give them several opportunities, as you know, to do that. We'll have another vote on the continuing resolution tomorrow, which is sitting at the desk of the Senate. It could be sent down here to the White House, signed into law. The government would open up immediately. We're also going to vote on a Ron Johnson resolution that essentially would pay anybody who's currently working. So we'll see how the Democrats react to that. But the truth of the matter is, you have a bunch of people here, a united team that believes profoundly that we need to get our government open. And if the Democrats want to talk about subjects unrelated to the government, getting the government open again, we're happy to have those conversations. But we've repeatedly now gone through this, and at some point the Democrats are going to have to say yes for an answer.
And that's it. That's all it is. Again, this did not used to be a controversial position. It used to be that the negotiating was done when the government was open, right? And if you needed more time to negotiate, you pass a continuing resolution to keep the government open while you keep negotiating. You know who used to agree with this? It's Chuck Schumer. Here he is a couple of years ago saying this. I believe, this is a long time ago, back when Obama was still running the show. But here is Chuck Schumer, who's now the Senate Minority Leader, basically saying this. Take a listen.
It's the methodology of what they're doing, which is basically saying, I have a baseball bat. I'm going to hit you over the head unless you give it in my way.
I want to play some
it's not even hitting me over the head. It's hitting all those people who need their paychecks to pay their families. It's the methodology.
Yeah. So this isn't just Republicans that think this way. He used to think that way. He used to say, hey, no, we need to open up the government. That's how negotiation works. You don't shut the government down and hold it hostage. What changed, Chuck? What changed? Is it just that Donald Trump is in charge now and you want to look tough? Because that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Anyway, I don't have a dog in this fight, really. I don't travel, so the FAA, people not getting paid there doesn't really affect me all that much. I drive by car anyway. But, hey, we'll see what happens. Maybe later today they'll actually vote to fund the government. Who knows? All right, something that I was going to talk about in this segment, but I didn't have as much time in the show as I originally thought I would, just because I rambled. This is the problem when you only have an hour at a time, is you run out of time quick. But the leftists and the Democrats losing their mind over Trump adding a ballroom to the White House. Chill the hell out, man. Come on. Like, just relax. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that serious. There's this picture that's been going around. I'll put it up on the screen real quick. I've got just enough time to show you this tweet from Adam Schiff. This is a portion of the East Wing of the White House being demolished so that they can attach the ballroom to it. Now remember, this ballroom is privately funded. Donald Trump is, along with some other rich friends that he knows, donating something along the lines of $250 million that it'll cost to build this ballroom. And regardless of what the left tells you, this is practical. There are a lot of events, foreign leaders, high-profile stuff that's hosted at the White House. It makes sense to have a nice ballroom to do that in. It does. You can hate Donald Trump for pointing that out, but the man knows real estate, all right? So he's doing this all with private donors. He's allowed to do it. Other presidents have made other renovations and changes to the White House. I mean, basically every president changes something. Certain presidents make big major changes, right? The East Wing and the West Wing were both additions to the White House. They're not original. They're not hallowed grounds trodden by the founding fathers. They were added later by somebody else. And now President Trump is adding a ballroom. Calm down. It's not that serious. Your holy temple to the idol of government that you worship will be fine. Pipe down. But anyway, all that being said, whatever. On the issue of the government shutdown, continuing with that for a moment, I got to give credit where it's due. There's one Democrat, just the one, that's actually, you know what I just realized is I didn't actually change so you could see the picture that I was showing you. My bad. There's the picture if you're watching on video. There it is. I'm finally showing it to you like I promised. So that's what they're doing. It's not that big of a deal. The world spinneth onward. Anyway, as I was saying, John Fetterman is the one Democrat who is actually calling the other Democrats out for shutting down the government. Here he is saying, hey, this is what y'all wanted to do. I'm not with you on this. I'm voting to open the government because I'm a regular person. I'll give John Fetterman credit all day and night. He does seem to be a common sense Democrat. I can respect him. He's wrong on a lot of issues, but he's not an absolute left-wing lunatic. Here he is saying, hey, these subsidies that the Democrats are fighting over now, they were designed to expire. Y'all made this bed, now you're lying in it. I'm not a part of this.
That's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party. And it's the wrong thing for the country in a period of chaos. I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I absolutely would love to have... I would love to have a conversation about extending the tax credits for health care. Absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken by the Republicans. They were designed to expire. Now, let's have a conversation to extend it and not shut our government down.
That's a reasonable position. He's a reasonable Democrat. I want this thing, but I understand how the negotiating process works. So good job, John Fetterman. Anyway, now let's talk about something that the left has sworn up and down is not happening. And that is Democrats voting, or not Democrats voting. They do vote. Everybody knows that. Illegal aliens voting. Now, the Republicans have called this out for a long time. We've been looking at the immigration crisis and we've been saying, hey, it kind of looks like what you guys are after is a bunch of imported illegal alien voters. And the Democrats have sworn up and down, no. Illegal aliens voting is illegal. It's always been illegal. We don't want that. And then they turn around and they open doors for illegal aliens to do exactly that. So here is in Minnesota. I'm going to play you two clips back to back. The first is Tim Walz signing a law to give everybody, including illegal aliens, Minnesota driver's licenses. And then it's a clip of I believe this is the Minnesota legislature. I don't know which subcommittee in their legislature. A hearing where some lady who I couldn't tell you her name to save my life is saying, so you're letting people register to vote with just these Minnesota driver's licenses that we're handing out to illegal aliens. So essentially you're allowing illegal aliens to register to vote. And the guy just has to kind of sit there and go, yeah. Watch this.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
So
we give driver's licenses to anyone here. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to, which is a photo ID. So if someone comes in, they register, they have the driver's license, but they have an incorrect social or no social or whatever. So then they become incomplete. But if they walk in to vote with their driver's license, does that make them all of a sudden now okay?
Mr. Linnell.
Madam Chair, so the designation on the roster for someone whose registration had been incomplete, if they present the election judge with that acceptable identification document, that would clear the challenge from the roster and they would be permitted to cast a ballot.
Mr. Anderson.
Well, okay, there's your problem potentially. So thank you.
So just to clarify, someone who is not a citizen but presents a driver's license at that point in the process could be permitted to vote.
Madam Chair, at the time of registration, as well as at the time of submitting a ballot, every voter is signing the attestation affirming their eligibility to vote, including that they meet all eligibility requirements, that they are a U.S. citizen.
Okay, so what he's basically saying there is yes. If you're an illegal alien who we handed a driver's license because we're the left-wing state of Minnesota, you're allowed to vote. Now, this entire system, as he points out, is essentially predicated on the honor system. We just make all the illegal aliens pinky promise that they're not illegal aliens, and then they can vote. And that's going to hold up? You don't think any of them, just maybe, might lie about that? Just maybe. I know we always want to assume the best of everyone, and let it never be said that I just jump to assuming the worst of people. But let's be honest here. Are we really going to sit here and say that nobody at all would lie to the state of Minnesota in order to cast a ballot? Really? Really? We don't want to even prepare for that possibility. We're just going to assume it won't happen? That's what they're doing in Minnesota. But weirdly enough, I don't know how, but it's not just happening in Minnesota, it's also happening here in Texas. This broke yesterday. Nearly 3,000, quote unquote, potential non-citizens have been found on Texas voting rolls. After a review of the voter rolls, the state of Texas has discovered that over 2,700 registered voters were, quote, potential non-citizens. That's according to the Secretary of State, Jane Nielsen, who made the announcement on Monday after she gained access to a federal citizenship database. So it's not just left-wing states. This is happening. The left has told us up and down, no, this is a conspiracy theory. You're crazy right-wingers. It's not happening. There it is. It's happening in Minnesota. It's even happening here. We have got to do better. The easy solution, deport these people. That's my plan. That's where I think we should be putting our effort. But anyway, that's all I've got for you this Wednesday. Remember, Sunday evening, 7 p.m. on AM 950 KPRC. We're doing a live broadcast. As always, every week you should tune in, listen on the free iHeartRadio app. And again, we are looking for a show sponsor here on the Next Gen Report. If you have a business, if you like what we do here and you want to support us, I can help you and your business grow with my audience. I will send them to you to do their shopping or buy your products or use your services. And in turn, you can support this show and the message that we deliver here to people of all sizes and shapes. So, hey, thank you very much for listening to the Next Gen Report. I am Ethan Buchanan. We'll be back Sunday evening.